Master of all worlds, highest power, merciful parent of compassion, in your presence, eternal one, source of strength for us, as you have been for our ancestors, we very humbly acknowledge you. What are we? What is our life that you have done such great kindness to us? Therefore, we place our appeals before you, so that you may forgive and absolve us of all our faults and failings. Let our faults never become barriers between us and you.
And me.
May it be your desire to prepare our hearts to feel awe and love for you. May you listen to these words of ours. May you open our encumbered hearts to the mysteries of your Torah. May this our study be a source of pleasure before your throne of glory, like sweet incense. May you shower down upon us the light of our soul source in all the ways by which we define ourselves. May the sparks of your holy servants, through whom you have revealed these words to the world,
shine and sparkle.
Merit,
Their ancestors merit,
the merit of their
Torah,
their innocence
and their holiness stand for us, so as to prevent us from stumbling when we study these words. In their merit, may our eyes be illumined by what we study, as in the saying of the sweet singer of Israel, open my eyes that I may gaze into wonders of your Torah. May the words of my mouth
and the thoughts of my
heart be acceptable to you, my rock and my redeemer. For it is the eternal who grants wisdom. It is from his mouth that knowledge and understanding is restored.
Na 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 na. Ah na na na. Na 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 na. Ah na na na. Ah na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na na. Ah na na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Na 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 na. Oh no no no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no no no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Ah na 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 na. Oh no no no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no no no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no no oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. We're on page 337. And we're going to begin at the second full paragraph on the page. Jacob awoke from his sleep. So we're now moving on to the aftermath of this vision and what exactly the effect was on Jacob and what his reaction was. So we're going from there, and we'll be moving on also in terms of the story, Jacob's story. He's going to eventually leave this place and go on to the next episode. So Jacob awoke, pretty much the middle of the page there, 337. Is anybody going to read for us? Beryl is there.
Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, surely Yud-He-Vav-He is in his place.
In this place.
Is in this place. Vanachi, and I did not know.
No, read it carefully.
And I did not know.
Right.
Why and I did not know. Is it any wonder that he didn't know? Rather, Vanochi, and I did not know corresponds to I have not sweetened the face of Yud-He-Vav-He. He said, has all this been revealed to me, and yet I haven't endeavored to know Anochi, entering under the wings of Shekhinah, becoming complete.
Okay, so the general way that we translate what Jacob said is he awoke and he says, Achein, yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh v'anochi lo yadati. God, the Eternal, is in this place, and I had no idea. I didn't know. But that's using the word anochi as referring to Jacob and saying that that's the subject. Anochi, I did not know. Lo yadati. Now the word anochi, is a fancy word for I, ani. That's the first word, for instance, of the 10 Commandments. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God, took you out of the land of Egypt, etc. So that's the usual way that it's translated. But the Zohar translates it differently. The Zohar translates it as Achein yesh Hashem, meaning Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, B'makom hazeh va'anochi, lo yadati. So lo yadati in Hebrew, verbs carry with them, the way they're conjugated, they carry with them what person is speaking, right? In English, you say, I did not know, you did not know, they did not know. So did not know, the phrase of did not know doesn't tell you what the subject is, how many people, first person, second person, third person, plural, singular, it doesn't matter. The verb never changes. But in Hebrew, the verb changes. So you can say in Hebrew, lo yadati, and that's a complete sentence. I did not know, because the word no, yada, has a T at the end, yadati. Yadati makes it into I know. Lo yadati, I did not know. So the anochi is extra. the word Anochi, I, is extra. For the Zohar, that Anochi doesn't refer to Jacob at all. That Anochi refers to Shechina. So therefore, the way that Jacob is now saying things is, in this place, there is Yud He Vav He and Anochi. And I had no idea. I didn't know. So that's the new reading. So now the Gemara, the Zohar says, is it any wonder that he didn't know? So now the Zohar is saying, there's this kind of amazement that he's expressing. Wow, what's going on here? How did I not know this? And the Zohar says, why should you know? Based on what should you know? Why would you know that God and Shechina are here at this place? So are you so, the commentators go through all different kinds of things. Are you so complete yet? You're not even complete. Remember, that's what the Zohar said at the very last line before this, right? He sees his ultimate complete destiny. But at this point, he's not yet complete. So good, so why should he be so surprised? So rather, Va'anochi, and I is there. I did not know corresponds to, he said, has all this been revealed to me, even though I have not known God so completely, right? In other words, the opposite. Given the fact that I am so incomplete, how did I merit to this vision of this union of God and in both halves, with me being incorporated in this act of union? How did I get included? So it becomes a sense of humility and inadequacy. How did I get to this? Has all this been revealed to me? And yet I have not yet endeavored to know Anochi. Lo yadati. The word yadati is like the word v'adam yada et chava ishto. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, knew in the sense the biblical knowing, the union between the two of them. Va'anochi lo yadati. I haven't yet united myself completely with Shechina, and yet I had this amazing vision and was given the revelation that God is here, right? So that's Jacob's wondering. David.
So this sentence then is three clauses. Bear with me, I just lost it. Clause 1, surely God is in this place. Clause 2, Anochi and I. And clause 3, I did not know. Is that what's being said here?
So God is in this place, va'anochi, along with Anochi, and Anochi is in this place also. Yud He Vav He is the male lover. Anochi is the female lover. God united with both halves is in this place, both Yud He Vav He and Anochi. And I didn't know. Now, I didn't know here, it doesn't, again, it doesn't mean information. It means I have not been united with Shechina to achieve the spiritual level where I should actually be apprehending this kind of reality. And yet it's been given to me as a gift. Who am I? I lo yadati. I have not been united with Shechina in such an intimate way so that I should be able to have this kind of experience of God's union. Right? That's what he's wondering about. I just want to get there again to the right. So if you read the trup, so it's Achein yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh pause, va'anochi, pause, there's a tipcha, and then lo yadati. It's the end of the verse. So like David says, there's 3 sections with 2 pauses dividing up the verse into beginning, then middle, and then end of the verse. Okay.
And Anochi is commonly recognized as Shekhinah.
Yeah, well, that's what the Zohar is going to tell you. Come and see.
Okay. We're coming.
Beryl, it's all yours.
Come and see what is written. She said, if so, why Anochi? Every single day, Rebecca saw the radiance of Shekhinah in her dwelling and prayed there. But as soon as she felt pangs in her womb, what is written? She went to inquire of Yud-He Vav-He, leaving this rung for another rung. So it is written, why Anochi? Similarly, Jacob said, have I seen so much, and yet Anochi I did not know? Because he was alone and had not entered under the wings of Shekhinah.
Right. So the proof text that the Zohar brings is from the story of the birth of Jacob and Esav, the difficult pregnancy that Rivka had. She first is barren, and then they pray to God, and God answers their prayer. And then this is chapter 25. So the 2 boys in her, inside her, were fighting, jostling with each other. Vatomer im kain, and she said, if so, lama ze anochi? Why am I enduring this? Why am I in such excruciating pain? Vatelech lidrosh et Hashem, and she went to seek out the eternal. So the Zohar reads this again, the Anochi, which we usually translate as she's saying, why am I alive? Why am I having to suffer such a terrible, painful process? She is not saying that at all. She's saying, why is Anochi doing this to me? Or what does Anochi's presence mean at this point? And then she goes and she seeks out Yud-He Vav-He. So for the Zohar, there's a distinction to be made. Anochi is Shekhinah, and Yud-He Vav-He is the male lover of Shekhinah.
Chachma?
What?
Is it Chachma?
No.
It's
Yud-He
Tiferet?
Vav-He, yes. Yes.
Tiferet, but Yaakov is not yet Tiferet
Correct.
because he's not married?
Yep. Where have you
And
been
he's-
the last month?
Oh, no, I'm just...
I'm just
Okay.
kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying. It's exactly what they're saying. He sees this as a vision that he will attain that chariot position for himself. Right? He will be, Avraham is Chesed, Yitzchak is Gevura, and he will become Tiferet. Right? That's his vision. That's the way the Zohar is reading this whole section, right? But he's not yet complete, so it's not happening yet. It will happen, right? That's the prediction. That's what we have. Providential. Where does it say here? It says, blah, 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 right? It's complete. No, rather he saw that he would be complete eventually. That's the 4th line from the top of the page, 4th, 5th line from the top of the page, right? So that's what he's saying. I'm not complete. How did I even have this vision? How did I even get to this point of having such a full revelation from God? And then the example that they give is Rebecca. So Rebecca, as it says here, was constantly accompanied by Shekhinah. If you look at note 139, Beryl, you got it?
Of course, I'm on the wrong page. Rebecca saw the radiance of Shekhinah in her dwelling. As long as Sarah existed, the lamp would burn in her tent from one Sabbath eve until the next. As soon as she died, it went out. As soon as Rebecca arrived, it returned.
Right. So the lamp burning is the symbol of Shekhinah's presence. Sarah had Shekhinah's presence continuously. And then it went out when she died. And then Rivka restores Shekhinah's presence. So Shekhinah is always there with Rivka. So when we've talked about all of that before also. So now that's what Rivka is wondering. Here I am, constantly accompanied by Shekhinah, and yet I can't take it. I'm in terrible, terrible, terrible pain. I'm suffering terribly. So what is Shekhinah doing for me here? Why is she doing this to me? Or why, if she's here, why isn't she helping me? Why isn't she taking away my pain? So therefore, she says, you know what? I have to go to a higher authority. Hatelech lidrosh et Hashem. She went then to ask the question of the male aspect of the divine. Yud Hey Vav Hey, right? The partner with Shekhinah. It says, you know, Shekhinah is not giving me an answer. Shekhinah is with me, but Shekhinah is silent and just like watching me go through torture. I have to ask you now. What's the answer? Why is this happening? So the way the Zohar reads that episode, it now applies here as well, and says there is the dual reference to God. There's Yud Hey Vav Hey, Achen Yesh Yud Hey Vav Hey Bamakom Hazeh, Ve'anochi, and Anochi together, right? They're both united as one, says Jacob. With Rebecca's story, they are seen as not being completely united. She's in the middle of terrible travail, and Shekhinah, who is her constant companion, is not helping. So that's the separation. With Jacob now, he sees them both together, right? And so similarly, Jacob said, have I seen so much? And yet Anochi, I did not know. I have not been united with Anochi the way Rebecca was. And yet, look at what I've seen. I've seen this conjoining of Yud Hey Vav Hey with Anochi, with Shekhinah, and embracing me, right? This is completely not about pain and suffering and the mystery of that. It's about consolation and embrace and support. Jacob gets this and he goes, how did I merit such a thing? I haven't yet completely done my work. And then the Zohar says, what does that mean? What was standing in his way? He didn't daven enough. He didn't study enough. He didn't do enough good deeds. The answer is because he was alone, because he was not yet married, right? And this sets up the next stage in the Yaakov saga, right? He will leave that place after he sets up the pillar, the altar, and says thank you to God, and then he's on his way to find his beshert, right? So he had not entered under the wings of Shekhinah. So this now will become the next topic, that this is the way one conjoins with Shekhinah. Again, they're not talking about the women, they're talking about the men, as usual. But that the man, in order to fully unite with Shekhinah, has to find the earthly correspondence for him to Shekhinah, that partner that needs to be his partner. Okay. Any comments, questions?
Rabbi?
Where are you? Rich, there you are.
Yeah, so you mentioned you have to find
You
your
haven't changed
partner.
the bit. You haven't changed the bit. Your hair hasn't gotten longer. Your beard hasn't gotten longer. You look exactly the same this week as you did last week.
My diet.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yes, what's up?
So you just said that he has to find his partner to be complete. I'm wondering if that's necessary and sufficient, or because he finds partners in the, when he goes off to Laban's place, but that's not his home. Do you need a partner and a home, or just the partner?
The home is established with your partner.
Wherever you are.
Right. And we're going to get to that, we're going to get to that in the next, couple of paragraphs, at least in a short kind of way of discussing it. But this is, of course, something that's a theme in the Zohar again and again and again. But you're right that it's not, it's necessary. It's not sufficient in the sense that not everybody avails themselves of that married state as the way for them to become more spiritually complete. What the Zohar is trying to tell everybody is this is your chance. This is what you're supposed to be doing with yourself. But it doesn't mean that just, once you get married, that's it. You've become united with God automatically.
But what comes to mind as well is at this particular point, not only does he not have a partner, but he's homeless.
Right. So he is absolutely alone in every way that you can think of it. Right. He's running out of his own home. He hasn't found a new home. And he hasn't found a partner to share that destiny with. Absolutely. Correct. All right. We're on 338.
Immediately, he was awestruck and said, "How awesome is this place?" A twofold word. How awesome is this place? First, referring to the place mentioned previously. Second, referring to this sign of the sacred covenant, which must not stagnate. Although these are two aspects, it is one.
Okay. So what he says, Vayira, he's translating here, he was awestruck. Nice translation. And Vayira, I just lost it. Vayomar, right? And he said, Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How awesome is this place? Ein zeh ki im beit Elokim. This is none other than the home of the Almighty. Zeh shar hashamayim. And this is heaven's gate. This is the gate of heaven. Okay, so this is what he says as his next kind of contemplation about the meaning of his experience. So now the Zohar says, what does it mean? Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How awesome is this place? Hamakom hazeh. What place are we talking about? So the Zohar says it has two meanings. First, referring to that place mentioned previously. Okay, so what place is that? Shekhinah. So that's the first reference that he's saying, and this, Vayifga b'makom, the word makom was used all the way at the introduction of this story when he's running for his life, and then he comes to this place, and the Zohar explains he comes to this place, he comes and he meets up with Shekhinah. Shekhinah is taking care of him, protecting him. So that's the first part. How awesome is this place? Makom refers to Shekhinah. When we offer words of consolation to mourners, we say, Hamakom, Yenachem etchem b'toch shara ve'elei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the Makom, give you consolation among the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. So the word Makom is a name for God. And here, Manorah Makom, what place, what encompassing place that gives you, back to Rich's point, it says Richard, so I say Richard, when Rich said he has no home, he has no place, right? Right now he's bereft of everything. So Shekhinah is the place. Shekhinah is trying to give him some help and some sustenance. So that's the first meaning. Second, the sign of the sacred covenant. Sign of the sacred covenant, the makom, that place that we don't talk about, the private parts, and the place, therefore, is the phallus. Right? And the phallus is both his phallus as well as the divine phallus. The divine phallus is Yesod, that's the meeting point, that's the vehicle, the vessel through which Yud He Vav He, the male lover of Shekhinah, is able to unite with Shekhinah. So that's the makom. That's the other side. So the makom is either the female Shekhinah or the male in its absolute maleness, seeking to be together with Shekhinah, which must not stagnate. And that's now part of what the Zohar is saying. The phallus cannot be left alone, cannot be left inactive. It must be put to use. It must strive to unite with its proper place, which is the other place, right? Although these are two aspects, they are one, because the point on the end is for the two places to unite and become one place, right? One flesh, one place. Okay. And now the theme of house. He said, right, now somebody,
Said,
hold on, let me just, before we keep on going, there's in the chat here, Larry writes, isn't that place also a rabbinic euphemism for the female private part? Correct. Yes. Right. It's all one. It's all connected. Right. The Zohar didn't come out of nothing. It's all inheriting all of this language and all of these euphemisms. Okay. Now, Beryl, he said,
this is none other than the house of God. This must not stagnate. This must not exist alone. Its fulfillment is none other than the house of God, performing with it, creating fruit within it, pouring blessings into it from all smooth members of the body. For this is the gate of the whole body, as is written, this is the gate of heaven, gate of the body indeed, gate through which blessings pour below, fastened above, fastened below. Above, as is written, this is the gate of heaven. Below, as is written, this is none other than the house of God. So he was awestruck and said, how awesome is this place? Yet human beings do not consider its precious glory whereby one becomes complete above and below.
okay, so here we have a kind of a hymn to sexual union. And the images that are used are house and gate, right? Ein zeh ke'im beit Elokim, v'zeh sha'ar hashamayim. This is none other than the house of the Almighty, and this is the gate of heaven. So the word this, ein zeh ke'im beit Elokim, that's what the Zohar fastens on, to use this word here, and says the zeh, this must not stagnate. The zeh is the male capacity to unite sexually with the female, as far as the Zohar is concerned, this must not exist alone. The zeh should not be without a zot, right? Without the companion, without the partner, without the complement. Its fulfillment, so that it doesn't exist alone, so that it doesn't stagnate, its fulfillment is none other than the house of God, creating a house of God together. The house is the image of the female. Beito zo ishto. That's what the Mishnah says, that a man's house is the man's wife. So that's the idea of creating a household. When we have a traditional a celebration of a marriage, we say, let them be a bayit ne'eman b'Yisrael. Let them be a faithful house in Israel. Right? The house is not simply the bricks and mortar, the physical walls and so on. The house is the unit of the family. So, and we have that also, of course, with regard to, we just had Pesach. So every house, was supposed to unite together to celebrate Pesach with a Paschal lamb and so on. Beit Avot. So, and here it is, right? So if the male finds a house to enter, to become part of, then creating fruit within it, performing within it. Performing literally means to engage in the sex act, to engage in the erotic act of uniting physically with the other, and then creating fruit within it that hopefully will create extra life, pouring blessings into it from all smooth members of the body. This is the image that the Zohar has, that the semen that flows into the womb is an energy that comes from the entire male body, right? And in terms of the Yesod, Yesod is pouring in the divine energies that come from all of the aspects of God, from the top all the way to Yesod. They're all channeled together. Yesod gathers them up together, and then Yesod discharges them into the receptacle, which is the female, right? So there's the collecting of the male energies from every aspect of the male, and then pouring it into the female. For this is the gate of the whole body, as is written, this is the gate of heaven, gate of the body indeed. So what do we make of that phrase? What is the gate referring to? Before we get to reading the note, remember that Zohar is now making a parallelism between the verse itself. The verse says, Zeh sha'ar hashamayim. This is the gate of heaven. And what does the Zohar rephrase as? Gate of the body. So how do we understand that? What kind of associations can we come up with? What kind of thoughts can we come up with about this? David.
To me, it's a reference to marriage, the permission to enter the gate.
So the gate specifically is female, right? Right, to be accepted into the female embrace, right? So the gate is that opening that allows one to enter. Okay, that would be one way to read it, right? Anybody else want to bring in any other kind of ideas here? And again, I want us to sort of like juggle around. The Zohar is playing with heaven and with body. Gate of the body, gate of heaven. Yeah, Larry.
Well, maybe it's the gate of your understanding. In other words, to understand the relationship between that which goes on below and that which goes on above.
So what is added, or what is modified by using the term gate of the body? Since if you're talking about understanding
That the body is below, and heaven is above, but the gate is the gate to understand that, like in a Platonic sense, you would see that the below is like not important, but the gate, that's a gate, and to get into the gate is to understand that what does go on below is important, because it's, in my way of thinking, it's parallel to what's going on above, or that it affects what's going on above, and that's the gate of understanding. That, like when it says that people don't understand, human beings don't understand that, but it's because they don't grasp, they don't open this gate. Now the gate of the body is to open that gate.
All right, so I would suggest that we put the understanding for the next step, and let's, I want to be stubborn and sort of dumb and say, let's just use those two phrases, gate of heaven and gate of the body. We will supply the understanding ourselves, but it doesn't say gate of understanding, which it could have said. Gate of heaven, it means the gate of the understanding, that the heaven, etc., etc. But it doesn't say that. It says gate of body, gate of understanding. Sandra, did you say you wanted to say something?
Yes, I'm struck with a number of things. It's that this sexual union in many ways is being described as disembodied, and then the next thing you know, it's a full body. The idea that the female is the gate, in some way, I'm thinking gives women a lot of power, and there's which you don't always see, and there's this notion that this sexual coming together, the union, is the way to make this journey to the divine. So I'm also caught up, now this may be another, maybe I lost a piece somewhere, but I don't see anywhere where it talks about must be married.
So yeah, you just have to accept that that's the Zohar's
Why?
assumption, because otherwise it's not holy.
Okay, because I've been told at other times that marriage was not always what was kind of the notion. So I just
Notion.
wonder.
The question is whose notion? If we read a Song of Songs,
Yes,
it has a lot of this kind of imagery in it.
yes.
Open the door, my beloved.
That's
Now, what
right.
does that actually mean? The
I
Song of
thought
Songs,
that will make yourself available, I suppose.
Right. so it's erotic imagery
Yeah,
that doesn't talk about marriage per se.
no,
But the religious establishment for thousands of years has decreed that there is no holy experience of sex except through marriage. That's the Jewish tradition. And the Zohar is not going to buck that tradition.
okay,
So it doesn't have to be said, it's understood,
okay.
right?
But
Yeah.
clearly it's this sexual coming together.
Right.
And I suppose it's on a Friday night, because that even makes it more holy, that then you move through and encounter God.
Right.
And in any way you want to say it, at the lower rung, however but you must have, well, see, I'm wondering, you must have this unity to then move forward to have this encounter. That's kind of what I'm hearing or reading with, yeah.
Okay, just real quick to answer David's chat question. Beito Zoishto is found in the beginning of Yoma. So they talk about that the Kohen Gadol for Yom Kippur has to be married, because it says v'chiper ba'ado uva'ad beito. So Beito, Zo Ishto. Now, one more thing in the chat here. In Shir Hashirim, not only is the couple not married, but they never actually consummate any sexual act. Maybe in your version. I don't know. Yeah, Mark. No, you have to be unmuted.
I want to really, really be mundane. The last bracha after Shema, you have to put the mezuzah on your gate. So gate also refers to the meeting place where people come from outside into inside.
Mm-hmm.
So gate also refers to entering into community. And one of the reasons that you have children is to perpetuate the Jewish community. So, it's prosaic, but I just wanted to mention that.
Right. So gates are found all over the place. And gates function, like you say, as the kind of like literally the door, the threshold between two spaces. And those two spaces can either be the male space and the female space. They can be the private space and the public space. That's, I think, closer to what you're talking about, right? That the gates are to then go into the society, into the community. We have the idea of the gates is where the judges sit, the gates of the city, right? That's the marking plug, the marked off territory. This is where the social reality created by this group takes full force and finds full expression. We have in Eshet Chayil, the end of Proverbs, right? Noda b'sha'arim ba'ala. Her husband is known in the gates, right? So so the gates have all of these kinds of associations, for sure. Yes.
Something's been bothering me all along. Now we realize, ever since we started talking about this, now we realize that the entire creation of a child is done by the woman, that the woman actually creates the afterbirth, the entire apparatus, and that the only thing that the sperm does is activate the process. Had the people in the Zohar...
Well, also the Y chromosome, no?
Well, but it's really just a trigger. All of the work is actually done by the female.
As it should be.
But I don't know.
Kidding,
I mean,
just kidding.
No.
I'm thinking
Okay.
about kitchens.
I gotcha. But I think that in ancient times, it was believed that the woman was just a vessel, right, and that the child was actually created by the male. Now, if they understood the biology of reproduction, how would that change the metaphysical vision of sexuality? Because then God would become more ephemeral. God would be just the law giver, and Shekhinah would actually play an extended role as being the place where religion is constructed.
I don't think that's so far away from what actually is considered in the, as you would say, the mundane, the everyday levels of our encountering God. Shekhinah is the gate to God.
Right.
Shekhinah is the part of God that we have access to, unless we're extraordinary, unless we're very, very exceptional. So you're right. It's Shekhinah, the female, is actually the creator of the world.
But then religion in the mundane, material sense of human relationships really becomes God on earth.
That's what we say, Knesset Yisrael.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the collective of Israel is the incarnation of God.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this all week long. Well, actually 2 weeks, because last week I had my shot.
Oh, you had your second shot.
Yeah, so I was.
How'd it go?
Well, I couldn't come to Zohar last week for the first time in how many years?
So you had a bad reaction.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I had it on Wednesday. Friday was horrible.
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
Thursday was horrible.
Oy vey. All right, so
Not so
that
horrible.
you're pretty much out of it, right? Yes, Merle.
You just mentioned that the woman, so the woman is the creator of the world. You, one of your paintings from a few years ago, is of that image. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Is that what that was?
That's one of the meanings.
One of the meanings. Okay, all right. I'm just
Right.
thinking that's what I'm seeing right now after you said that.
Right. And we just did a little Parsha study earlier this evening, and I pointed out, apropos what Mark was just saying, the very strange way that the Torah talks about the woman giving birth, where it's actually all woman, it's all mother-centric. The father is not mentioned in the entire text, and she is given literally credit with inseminating herself. Isha ki tazria, a woman, who shall cause the seed to be, v'yalda zachar, and then she gives birth. It doesn't say, like I said earlier. Now we say Ela toldot Yitzchak. This is the story of Yitzchak. Avraham holid et Yitzchak. Right? Abraham begat Isaac. Right? So the Hebrew is he caused Isaac to be born. Right? Forget about women, forget about mothers, forget about all the stuff that Rebecca and everybody else had to go through. Right? That's the normal, usual way that the Torah talks about children being born. However, in this one text that actually gets into the very moment of childbirth and its religious consequences, of Tumah and Tahara and Korbanot, it's the mother all the way through. There is no father mentioned. So there's this kind of like little flickering of what Mark was saying before. There's a little flickering that no matter how androcentric and patriarchal we want to be, at the moment of childbirth, it's the mother. We are so irrelevant, us guys, that it's pretty obvious who's actually doing all the bearing, right? All of the bearing of this in every meaning of the word. So for a brief moment, the Torah text actually acknowledges that.
So every now and then, women get all this power, and then it's male-centered again. But this is a question that's been bothering me since the beginning, is these guys wander around. You never hear about a woman conversing with them, or at least I don't remember them ever encountering a woman. And yet it's so essential to make the journey to the divine, this sexual union. It's a disconnect for me. I don't, do women ever come into the story?
Yes, they do.
Thank you.
There are, and I mean, I had a very strange conversation once with a major Zohar scholar of today, person who knows the Zohar backwards and forwards, a zillion times better than me.
Right.
I respect her tremendously, and it's a privilege for me to be able to talk to her and know her. And at one point I said to her, I really think somebody should do a study, because here and there we actually have women with agency in the Zohar.
Yes.
Not every once in a while, but every once in a while. She goes, not important. She I was expecting her, she's a real feminist, and I was expecting her to say, yes, that's so important. I'm working on it, or so-and-so is working on it, or somebody should. And she just pushed it aside and she said, that's not interesting. I don't know why. We never, got to continue to examine that. But I believe that you're right. I believe it's certainly, it's an anomaly to have those kinds of episodes. And in the theory, the grand theory of the Zohar, women are totally secondary. And one of the major scholars who've, talked about this so much is my teacher, Elliot Wolfson.
Mhm.
And, and he gets a little bit of flack for it, because they don't like to hear it because he makes the Zohar very, very, very anti-feminist.
It is.
But in general, he's right, I think. I mean, what do I know? I mean, but from what I see, that's pretty much the case. However, if you haven't encountered, I can't remember how much, when we have, but it happens every once in a while. It happens. In fact, I think we had a story also. And it had to do actually with a bris, and the mother insists on the guy staying. So it's this kind of like shadowy kinds of things we're going to have in this story. This is with a father and two sons, remember? The way the story started. And they're walking on the road and he's listening to the Torah. We're going to get to the conclusion in another minute, maybe. But there are times when the Yenuka, the young child, is very much connected with a mother who's part of the story.
Okay.
And the wife is sometimes part of the story also. But yes, the theory is always that the woman is secondary. But we got distracted here from what this text is saying. And I want to go back to that a little bit. Let's look at note 150.
This is the gate of the whole body. This is the gate of heaven. Yesod, the divine phallus, is the gate of the Sefirot, specifically Tiferet, who is the core of the Sefirot and known
Sefirot.
And known as sun,
as Gufa,
body, or torso in heaven.
Okay, so we've been thinking body below, heaven above. What this note is telling us is, no, let's keep on remembering about how anthropomorphic the Zohar is in thinking about God. God has a body. Before we talk about the incarnation of God's body in the lower world, God has a body. God is a male and a female uniting with itself, uniting together, right? There's a phallus that we keep talking about, right? There's thighs that we keep talking about. There's a crown on a head that we've talked about. So so in one way of reading this, it's the gate of the body is that place of opening and closing for the body to then open up and pour out its life, its being into the next space, right? And that space is the female who is welcoming the male, right? What does it mean then to say body or heaven? So that's his suggestion. It comes out a little then awkward. Then where's the heaven part? What's the heaven? The answer is, from that perspective, Shekhinah is the gate to heaven, but from the other side, right? Shekhinah is welcoming Yesod into her embrace to be able to accept all of that divine energy. And then she gestates and dispenses all of that energy, all of that life into the world below. But then she is our gate to heaven, right? She then, on the other side of it, we down here are the ones who, in order to touch God somehow, to be in contact with God, we need to go through her, and she has to accept us. So she does double accepting and double dispensing, right? She does double openings. She opens up to God, to the male lover, and then she opens up to the world to give birth to life and to the world. And then she opens up to us as lovers of Shekhinah who want to come back and be part of God. This is Jacob's lo yadati. I haven't quite yet, in the sexual way of the term, just like I would know my wife, I haven't yet known Shekhinah. I haven't yet united with Shekhinah. So she is, in that sense, the gate to heaven. She opens up to us, and then we can unite with her as the only way that we can come close to being with God. So this is what Jacob is now awestruck about, and rightfully so, right? Because he sees the dynamic that works in terms of multiple couplings that are each in their own way magnificent, sweet, good. You have all this really nice poetic language, pouring blessings, creating fruit, gate of the body indeed, blessings from below, fastened below, fastened above, right? All of this stuff. And then it's called precious glory, right? That mystery of being able to unite is considered not just something to strike fear in the hearts of men. It's precious. It's delicious. It's so important and valuable. And then going back to what Larry was saying before, the Zohar then says, and Nebuch, people don't understand this. People don't get it, right? People only see the physical pleasure involved or the physical drama involved, or they think that religion is disembodied and is world denying and doesn't have to have anything to do with this fleshly experience, and they don't understand that it's all one, that it's all together.
So now I'm really gonna do something from left field. There's this whole school of Freudian feminists. This woman Irakari, or however you say her name, right?
Iragari or whatever.
Yeah, Iragari.
I don't know how to pronounce the name, but yeah.
Right, me neither. So unless we stop repressing, in the Freudian sense, women, the way they're repressed in Torah and repressed in Zohar, we can never actually come to grips with a powerful need to address the feminine spirit, which then becomes the gateway. So this really is a very, very deep problem, or a very deep potential, because the masculinization of Judaism disconnects us from this mystery. So I'm sorry.
No, I think this is very, the word I would use is precious. This is very much what is precious here. And that's why I think the word potential is very apt. It is a problem if we close the gates. If we don't let this kind of stuff flow, then it's going to be a desiccation. It's going to dry up all of this flow. And, that's one of it's just an unbelievable breakthrough that feminism has created for us to think that there is even something to think about.
And yet in folk Yiddishkeit, you deify your mother. That in a Yiddish home, the mother is the single most important factor. And so there is this permanent existence of the power of women in Judaism at the ground level.
Well, I think, again, not just Judaism. I think when you're talking about life and death, like you said before, you can't get away from it. No matter how much the men want to, take it away, the women are the life givers and the women are the life sustainers. So that's all there is to it.
That goes back to Sarah and her role.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's deeply connected, because I agree with what Mark's saying in terms of a woman having all that power. But in my experience, there's always that negative piece in the
Right.
home as well.
Right.
She's fabulous, but there's something,
Right.
you know,
Well, so
it's
that's right. That's
it's
yes.
that conflict, you know, it really psychologically, it's always there. I'm sitting here listening to you guys talk about a feminist Freudian, which to me is an oxymoron, but okay.
But Sandra, do you remember a book in the 1960s called The Dangerous Sex?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, it was, you know, when the early proto-feminists,
right.
and that's this whole idea that men have to oppress women,
Yeah.
and repress their need for women
Uh-huh.
because of the enormous power of women in the psyche of men.
Right.
You know, the anima in Jung is still the thing that carries you to God.
Yeah.
Beatrice.
Yes, I think that all of this is I think has a lot of validity to it, and
Or it's complete mishagas.
I don't think so. I don't
Rabbi?
think it's guys. I don't think. I think it would be very, you know, I think it would be very, what can I say, misogynistic to say it's mishigas, because
Rabbi?
the issue is, you know, primary. It's primary.
Right.
Yeah, Rich.
Yeah, so I can't believe, I think I might actually sound like an apologist for the Zohar on this issue. But how much could it, I mean, what's coming to my mind is that perhaps they're just taking the women for granted. They're the house, my God. They're like, you know, the heir, you know, and all. And that, you know, of course, everybody knows, you know, the importance.
So let me be honest. I may shock you from, you know, to hear me say this. I'm a big fan of the Zohar. Right? I don't feel that I need to apologize for the Zohar. But the Zohar doesn't lock down what we need to think about. The Zohar is a gate. The Zohar opens the stuff up. The Zohar doesn't close down stuff. So we need to be honest. The Zohar is fascinating because of its complexity and contradictions. And we've had these conversations so many times. And that's what keeps me going with the Zohar. If the Zohar was anything like some of the contemporary, you know, Haredi tracts about what reality is like and what the relations are between men and women and what God is like, I wouldn't read it. And it wouldn't be worth reading. But if you read it, you see that it's not like that. So you're right. Of course, there's a tremendous amount of complexity here. There's a tremendous amount of struggle despite itself. I've said this, you know, a few times, that some of the fascinating parts of the Zohar are where the Zohar makes a breakthrough despite its own overall assumptions and theories. So, you know, the Zohar, you know, unlike us, the Zohar is a product of its times. Now, we, of course, have a complete understanding of everything. The Zohar Nebuch was, you know, located in its own cultural and temporal milieu. Yeah, Meryl.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Haredi, and that very moment I was thinking, what do the Haredi or the very traditional Orthodox make of the Zohar? Do they study it? Do they poo-poo it? What do they do with this?
Yeah, mostly they ignore it. There's only small groups that occupy themselves with the Zohar. The Zohar is considered too holy for most people and too abstruse for most people, and also dangerous.
Well, you have to think. You can't. You can't.
No, well, you have to think in the Gemara too. You have to think in, you know, when you read the Talmud too. But the Talmud is normative, and the Zohar is not. But just to sort of, you know, how many people have watched or are watching or intend to watch Shtisel? Okay, a couple of people. So it's so I recommend it. So it came out with 2 seasons and they were really amazing and popular in Israel, and then Netflix picked it up and it became this international surprise, you know, popular show. And then this year they came out with a 3rd season. Very good season.
Have you watched the whole thing?
I just finished watching the whole thing.
I did too.
So
Okay.
so Shtisel is a family saga about a Haredi family, right? So I'm not going to give away all the kinds of stuff, but it's really remarkably well done. It has a there's funny things that go on in the last season about how self-conscious it is about what it's doing. But how did it get to be so interesting? There's a lot of sociological mumbo jumbo that we could go into. But it seems to me that one of the things that makes Shtisel so intriguing for so many people, and again, secular people, non-Jews, people who have no intimate connection with the Haredi world that some of us might have, it's because all of the Haredim that they deal with are struggling with the tension between the conventions of Haredism and their own personal uniqueness. So, and that's what's compelling to everybody else who's not Haredi. There isn't this, there are conventional Haredi people in there, but they're not the main characters. Every single main character is a Haredi with a problem that doesn't quite fit into the Haredi mold. So, and part of what they're showing is that, no mold can fit everybody in. So that's what I think really appeals to everybody. Same thing with the Zohar. The Zohar creates certain molds, but none of these molds can actually, unless you work very hard, and then it becomes cruel and oppressive. You take a mold and you make it into a straitjacket. So, that's part of the struggle that's going on here.
So it's a mold with some flexibility.
Yeah, it's got some living give to it.
Right.
And what the eventual feminist revolution will achieve in terms of our consciousness, in terms of how we actually then, religiously orient ourselves, ethically, to human beings, it's still playing out. And there's a lot of, as Sandra said, there's a lot of pushback. We see that, in terms of racism, we see that in terms of economic stuff. Anytime we make a little bit of progress, then somebody, pushes back and says, uh-oh, this is too scary and this is not good. And, best to stay within the confines of whatever worldview or whatever system you're in. All right. Any further thoughts?
I just have another question.
Okay.
I went to law school. So in law school, there are these little books that help you, like contract law in a nutshell. They're called in the nutshell, torts in the nutshell, property law in a nutshell. Are there any books like Zohar in a nutshell, where it just, in 150 or 200 pages, it just blasts through the whole thing and like black letter law, it just kind of like tells you what's going on there. And it's not going to take 15 or 20 or more years.
You want Cliff Notes?
Yeah, like a Cliff's Notes, exactly.
Right. So remember, a few, 10, 15, 20 years ago, there was this like fad of so-and-so for dummies.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a book called Kabbalah for Dummies.
Okay.
And then there was like two competing like publishing trends. There was, that kind of thing for dummies. And then there was another one that was also just like that.
The Idiot's Guide to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right. So I have a friend who actually wrote one of those books for the Kabbalah. So, you can find.
I'll look that up. Because I came to this class.
Mark
I
Elberg.
came to this class very late.
Right.
You've been going for
So
11 or 12 years. And
no, more than that. I've been
more than that.
teaching-
So for me to kind of like.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let me say this. You can read anything you want. If it's helpful to you, great. Can you imagine somebody coming to a river and saying, I don't want to jump into the river here because I don't really have any experience of where the river comes from or where the river has been and what the whole river is all about. So until I actually go to the headwaters of the river and get it all laid out for me, I'm not going to go swimming in the river. That person would be missing everything about what it means to go swimming in the river. I mean, it's a
Well, no.
nice thing to go exploring the headwaters of a river, but
Well,
it's
I'm
not-
swimming, but
so keep swimming.
I'm gonna keep swimming, but I also would like to kind of like,
The problem is I'm always skeptical about simplification. As you know, it had the danger of simplification is that if it's a gate, it's great. But if it becomes the entire, gestalt of what, of the definition, then it's not good. So that's
all right,
a
I won't
caution.
buy
A
it.
caution. No, a caution. Don't buy it. Take it out of the library and
Mm.
see if it helps you out. Okay. All right. Good night to everybody.
Good night, Master
Bye,
Cohen.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.